Just get some.
Let's give it up for Anna Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Happy Halloween, and welcome to our annual Witches and Warlocks gathering. Actually, my name is Beelzebeth, and I'll be guiding us through our Summoning of the Dark Void this morning. So I've been informed that this was double booked today. So if you're here for that other thing, just let you know, all doors have been locked and sealed, and prepare to be indoctrinated or face into big deal. Just kidding, it's Creative Mornings. Thank you so much to everybody for being here, to Justin, George, Brady, everybody that volunteered, and thank you for showing up. I'm really honored to be here. And okay, I was just kidding. My name is Anna Johnson. I am an artist and a North Carolina native. I've lived here, and I will be looking at my notes, by the way. It's for the don't shake, I promise. So like I said, I'm a North Carolina native. I've lived in Western North Carolina for the past 18 years. I just moved to Bakersfield, Penland School of Craft, where I just started my 3-year residency. Oh, Richard, I have a customer.
No, sorry. It's done. Bottle. Yeah. Here it is. Oh, it is. Good for the abductors.
Yeah. So while I have you as my captive audience here, I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about my work, and then we're going to move on to other things. So my main medium up to this point has been jewelry. My business name is Anna Johnson Jewelry, so that if that's honestly, it sounds pretty clear. And then for the remaining 3 years in this residency, I'm going to be focusing on building a body of sculptural work, and we'll see where that goes. So my practice is rooted in non-man-made ecosystems, in the belief that coming upon a soft spot with nature, with the natural world, is essential for living a balanced fit. I like to pull the overlooked into the spotlight, the fleeting impermanence, and the kind of gross into something beautiful. Sure. My work celebrates all phases of the life cycle, including the ones that we usually like to hide away. Beautiful things don't happen in the vacuum. So behind them are dirt, decay, blood, sweat, tears, chaos, time. All those parts of you don't get the praise they deserve. Just so. Will somebody give me that water right there? I am so sorry. Thank you so much. Do like tea, coffee, and an application. That's the good. Yeah. So I like to cross materials and contexts. So that might be snake vertebrae that are blooming out of flowers like lily stems, like here, or diamonds encircling a hollowed ear bone of a rat. It's really hard to make the word rat sound elegant anyway. It makes me happy to think that my work in some way might help dismantle some ick for some folks. And it makes me even happier that some people over the years have opted to wear bleach in the garden and rodent bones to their fanciest soirees, and in place of something from, say, Tiffany's. One of the processes that I use is lost wax casting. It's how I create the plant elements in my work. And I also brought some samples too, if anybody's interested. I can pass them around. You all can check them out if you have any interest. So I'm just going to give you all, just for the non-knowledge people in here, just a quick overview of that process. So I start by collecting plants, fresh or dried, and attach them to a base called a button. So that's that black guy that those plants are coming out of there. And so then I encase the whole thing in a fine plaster called investment. The mold goes into a kiln, and it runs in a burnout cycle that's anywhere from 8 to 17 hours, depending on the context. and it tops out over 1,300 degrees. Everything burns away inside and leaves a hollow mold. So then I cast into the hot empty mold in a centrifuge, which is basically this big drum, and it's a spring-loaded arm that winds up and a little pin holds it in place. So you melt down the metal whites. You can't really see the crucible, but it's under the flame there. So you melt your metal down in there, and then when your metal's molten, you pull back on that arm, the pin drops, you let it go, off it goes, use centrifugal force to shoot the metal into your mold.
Yes, I have it.
And yeah, you have an eternal bouquet. So in addition to plants, I work with minerals, values, gemstones, found objects, and use a variety of metal smithing techniques to bring them to these pieces. Can you all still hear me okay? I feel like this is floating. And also to answer a question that I get a lot, no animals have been harmed at least by human beings that are trying to do this work in any sort of way. Everything has been found in nature already deceased, and I'll take it through a deep cleaning and stabilization process. And so that could mean burying it. And usually I like to do that if it allows them to return back to the earth and complete its life cycle. And anything like this, I want to honor that as much as possible and just keep my impact minimal because you can't really sustainable is an interesting term that we throw around. So anyways, there are beautiful moments happening all around us constantly, and I'm grateful that my creative path gives me an opportunity to kind of tune me back in. So that could be, I was like thinking about like, which little mammal has the most graceful looking vertebrae? Cat. What different leaves feel like, or what some species, that certain species, maybe all of them, of hydrangea, have these little tiny different flowers hidden behind the main bouquet, and they're just like so delicate and they're so sweet. Also, that similar structures will come up across plants, minerals, and bones. It's very cool. It makes me feel like a little kid playing scientist a lot of times when I work in the studio.
Great.
Okay. So my creative path has guided my life in countless ways, led me to community, challenged my perspectives, and pushed me far outside of my comfort zone. And, I'll be damned if that ever stops happening because it really keeps us going. So, also there's my dog in the middle. You can see the Pelham campus from across the way there. And then there's my studio for the next 2 years over there. And also, so speaking of dogs, I had an accident earlier this week. Luckily, I had to change the clothes in the car, so that wasn't a big deal. But then my dog went into the back of my knee, and that was a joke. That was a cute joke. Okay, so anyways, that's the end of the slide. So now we're moving on. Okay, so I was thinking with this, which software, it's kind of soft. I didn't stick too closely in that. So, I've been thinking a lot about, and also I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. So, but what are the things that, energize us, that kind of bring us back, pulls us out of that hole of like this feeling of impending doom, and then we're like dealing with all the things that are happening right now, and inspires us, and energizes us, and all that sort of stuff, and like outside of your family and kids. Is mine cut? Okay, so a lot of that, things, music, comedy, interesting architecture, art, craft, cooking, fashion, stories, history, theater, all of these things. And a lot of these things fall under the humanities category. It's creative stuff. It's stuff that sparks questions, stuff that we're we want to find solutions to and that evoke emotion. Yet, creativity or the pursuit of our creative life is often discouraged. We're told not to major in art, not to invest in ourselves, and start a business, not to take risks, that is silly, it's frivolous, it's a dead end. We hear that artists are starving and reclusive, artists are selfish and just want to talk about themselves. I was very curious because those two narratives seem to like really conflict each other.
It's true.
But it's just so funny because it's like, what is that? Like, it's just, you'd be like, you're just like selfishly being broke while being like, look at me, while you're alone in your studio. So that makes sense. So I just kind of randomly stuck this very paraphrased metaphor in here because it's just something that I had resonated with me a few years ago and has continued to. And so I just wanted to share it, and it's full still paraphrase here. But so the late great David Lynch said to imagine creativity like it's flowing through a straw or a tube, and that stress, sense of urgency or fear or despair, all of these things are like picture like gunk in the tube and it's clogging it up, and so your ideas can't flow through it. And he said that those things are like poison to creative people, which really, I remember when I first heard that, I was like at the beginning of this COVID, and like through that, it just didn't resonate with me because I know some people got like super creative during that time. Mine was like tap off. But anyway, so moving on. Do you ever wonder if art that takes time and depth is discouraged because big business and tech can't monetize it, or it promotes free thinking and is inherently anti-capitalist, or because thoughtful work often cannot be mass produced, or that if the arts were encouraged and more accessible, you would be less susceptible to a throwaway consumer culture? Do y'all remember that Spotify CEO when he said that artists need to stop complaining and need to be constantly putting out content in order to be successful? And then we hear that we need to be posting and engaging with our phones constantly, and the only way to get visibility is if we do it and try to play the algorithm, and if we don't do it, we're going to fall into this technological pit of and perish, and everything that we worked through is going to march for is going to disappear. Like, it is hard not to buy into that because it's so fear-based, and like I totally have, and it's just interesting because it's like, are they trying to encourage us to? Are they trying to get us to compete with AI, or are they trying to get us to compete with IKEA or Temu? Like, it seems like they're promoting a lot of mediocrity in order to benefit themselves, and definitely not the creators, encouraging us all to do the same thing louder and louder over each other with nobody listening. Meanwhile, they get to sit back and eat their cake. I mean, fuck that. Like, what's that? So again, I never did to do a choir. So quantity over quality is going to come back and bite us shit. You know this. We all got to do what we got to do in this capitalistic society, 100%. But in the long term, I wholeheartedly believe that if you're not buying into that and working with intention and allowing space to let go of that fear, that sense of urgency, is going to be key to the survival of the creatives. I believe that what we do, when we do impactful, beautiful, or at least move in that direction, passionate work, we are methodically resisting in a very effective way. In one way, I know that I at times have been like, how do I put my work in a form that is very directly, spelling out like, fuck Trump, and then realizing and so a lot of people's art forms that fits into and like amazing, yes, behind you. But if your language or your creative path, if it doesn't make sense for you, or that's creating like a stressful space and putting a lot of pressure, like I'm speaking from how I saw the times. That whatever your language is, and being subtle and being soft or being intriguing or trying to explore and answer questions or inspiring play or curiosity, like these are very, very powerful too as an act of resistance. This is maybe a silly, this just popped in my head when I was thinking about this. It's like in the Grinch that Stole Christmas, when he steals all the steals all the things for Christmas, and then he's riding down on his sled, or maybe anyways, he hears the singing from Whoville, and he's like, no, I shouldn't steal it. Yeah, you can't press that kind of light. So, now that I've spelled our CCD reigning healthcare down upon us, unfortunately, but so art, creativity, community, these are not luxuries, they are vital. If that sounds like bullshit, please explain to me why we have been making art in every culture across all human history. The first piece of jewelry was recorded, it dates back to 150,000 years ago. The arts help us make sense of our lives, enjoy our surroundings, connect us with people, pass on ideas, develop critical thinking skills, and is an outlet for self-expression. So I'm really trying to strip it away from us right now. Yeah. So despite all that, here we are, we're in Asheville, we're in this unbelievably supportive community. Like, holy moly, I know all of us, like, going through everything that we've been through as a community, doesn't it just make you feel very proud to be part of this? It's just, this is such a supportive community. You're just hardworking, creative people that all have arrived here because you're passionate about something enough to take a slightly more difficult, windy path that has little perks, except for the giant one that we actually get to do something that we love, support people that we love, and it brings us closer to so many incredible people. So we've got to hold on to that perch. So my encouragement, if this resonates at all, it is make your work or work toward it, push it, make it beautiful, play, be vulnerable, bring tenderness to it, bring softness, take your time. If it's a hobby, it's just as important. Refine your skills, replace urgency with curiosity, choose quality over quantity. And if resistance, it's resistance. And really, it's what they don't want us to do. So it'll keep craft alive and it'll keep inspiring others. We already have the skills, so let's use them. It builds a kind of community that lasts. And again, their creativity isn't frivolous, it's vital. So what does it look like? To be clear, I'm not suggesting deleting social media. It can be a fantastic tool for artists and business owners and all that, But maybe if you're feeling the pressure to, work the algorithm and it's not really working for you, perhaps focus on the quality and something that's going to stop people mid-scroll. Interesting ideas. And of course, we got to do what we got to do to keep things running. I'm not so good, and just do whatever. That's not a possibility for the majority of us. But in this moment, when you get a little inspiration, don't let that slip by. So I don't have a homework assignment or a formula or anything like that. I think that this looks different for everybody's practice. And I think if trying to figure out, if you need if you're feeling like you don't know what to do or something like that, it doesn't even necessarily have a vision, but it maybe it's a curiosity and staying open, swapping out some movies with like something that's really like interesting, like, I don't know, filled through Criterion, like there's a bunch of just like really awesome weird documentaries and movies and all this sort of stuff. And, it's like dedicating that little bit of time, just like you can just remind yourself to just like put that there. All of a sudden you're just like down a little rabbit hole of curiosity, and you just don't know, when that's going to happen. Have conversations with people. I feel like, we're in such a rich, beautiful community to do that, and people are so creative and have such wonderful ideas here. So stuff like that. So basically, just carving out what was like me, and then if you're a maker, it's like an idea sparks, and you can just like start on something that's only going to take like usually like 10 minutes, and then put it somewhere where you can see it, and it's just going to haunt you like a little family ghost until you like give it more time, and it actually starts to develop in this thing. So take the moments when you can, because they're precious. So are your resources. Like I need to tell anybody that. Sure. But when you get a spark, capture it and create some space to compute that. Remember, what you're passionate about is don't let life get you down, because loser. Everybody get up, get so alive. You can't escape capitalism completely, but we don't have to here, but you and so big most. Okay, so I'm going to close with a passage from you got a chance to the pocket from the toy train. My mom gave this to me. I got you telling you guys, so I'm actually need to book, but my mom gave that in 2009, and because she's a Buddhist monk, that's just like such a nice little thing, because then it's fun little passages. But anyways, so rest the bottom, I need to see y'all.
Yeah, good coming out.
Okay, it's called The Path of the Bodhisattva Warrior.
Good child.
Okay, so wherever we are, we can train as a warrior. The practices of meditation, loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity are entries. With the help of these practices, we can uncover the soft spot of the bodhicitta and tenderly get apart. And try also saying that become that. We will find that tenderness and sorrow and gratitude. We will find it behind the hardness of rage and shakiness of fear. It is available in loneliness as well as kindness. Many of us prefer practices that will not cause discomfort, yet at the same time, we want to be healed. But bodhicitta training doesn't work that way. A warrior accepts that we can never know what will happen to us next. We can try to control the uncontrollable by looking for security and predictability, always hoping for comfort and safe, always hoping to be comfortable and safe. But the truth is that we can never avoid uncertainty, that not knowing is part of the adventure, and it's also what makes us afraid. Bodhicitta training offers a promise of happy endings. Rather than this I who wants to find security, who wants something to hold on to, can finally learn to grow up. The central question of a warrior's training is not how we avoid uncertainty and fear, but how we relate to discomfort. How do we practice with difficulty, with our emotions, with the unpredictable encounters with one day a day?
Thank you.
All right, that's all I got for y'all.